So what we do is we help you to remove yourself from being enemy or friend, because the previous way, and I'm going to show you that I exposed a certain piece of language that was on page 404 on the DS forms, the Department of State forms. On page 404, there was language in there that I considered entrapment language, and I let the world know about this, and the Department of State did the right thing, and they stepped up and they changed the form within, I would say, 3 months or so, and provided a new OMB number. I'm going to actually provide a portion of that video where I expose this, and then I'm also going to provide the new language on the Department of State form where the Department of State stepped up and did the right thing for all of us, because I considered that actually really wrong, what was on that form. So Mark, let me ask you the question. Have you ever gone to get a passport, a U.S. passport before?
Yes.
Okay. On page 4. This is very disturbing. On page 4, it says the following. This is page 4 of 4 on the instructions. You have a DS-82 form, which is a blue form, and you have a DS-11 form. So the situation is you have the first page, and none of us just stops and reads the entire thing. You know, people are just so excited they're getting ready to go on a big trip or something. They look at it, they say U.S. passport renewal application for eligible individuals, and you just fill in the blanks as a normal person would, right? You go down to CVS, you get yourself a picture of your passport photo, and you just do the documents, you write it all out, and you put in your trip where you're headed out to, and you're all excited, and you didn't realize that there was something very serious on page 404. Here we go, under acts or conditions, and anyone can go to Department of State and download this form for yourself. Page 404, either way, whether it's the 82 or the 11 form, it will still say the same thing. Okay, this is a brain twister. If any of the below mentioned acts or conditions have been performed by or applied to the applicant, here it is. The portion which applies should be lined out, and a supplementary explanatory statement under oath or affirmation by the applicant should be attached and made a part of this application. So the key words here in these instructions is the portion which applies to you should be lined out. That means you cross out what line applies to you. So I'm going to read this. And I know, Mark, I would expect that you've probably never lined any paragraphs out on page 4, have you, before you've gotten your passport, right?
No.
Yeah. But that's okay. We're going to fix that. We're going to fix that in the second of this discussion. We're not going to do that this evening because this is a lot of information coming at you. So here we go. I have not, since acquiring United States citizenship, nationality, been naturalized as a citizen of a foreign state, taken an oath or made an affirmation or other formal declaration of allegiance to a foreign state, entered or served in the armed forces of a foreign state, accepted or performed the duties of any office, post, or employment under the government of a foreign state or political subdivision thereof, made a formal renunciation of nationality either in the United States or before a diplomatic or consular office of the United States in a foreign state, or been convicted by a court or court-martial of competent jurisdiction of committing any act of treason against or attempting by force to overthrow or bearing arms against the United States, or conspiring to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States. Here's the big one. Here's the zinger. If that wasn't enough, here it goes. Furthermore, I have not been convicted of a federal or state drug offense or convicted of a sex tourism crime, and I am not the subject of an outstanding federal, state, or local warrant of arrest for a felony, a criminal court order forbidding my departure from the United States, or a subpoena received from the United States in a matter involving federal prosecution for or grand jury investigation of a felony. If you didn't mark that out and you didn't put a line through all of that language, the first thing when you go into the passport application office, they immediately look for someone who knows what they're doing. And if you line out page 4, which I've done twice, so bottom line, if you did not mark out what applies to you, you agreed basically that you have committed acts of treason against the United States. You've attempted to overthrow or bear arms against the United States, or put down or destroy by force the government of the United States, and you've been convicted of a sex tourism crime, and all of the above. So the question might arise, well, why would somebody leave language like this on page 4 of 4 to trap somebody? What kind of mind would put this paperwork together? What kind of mind would have us, by mistake or by omission, declare ourselves to be terrorists?
And most people, when they read that, if they read it, wouldn't know what it meant anyway.
Yes, they wouldn't know. What do you mean, line this out? What are you talking about? So the proportion which applies should be lined out. And that's the first thing they look for at the Department of State. So they asked me to go into a separate line where our talking could be more private. And they ask you to raise your right hand, affirm to tell the whole truth, and of course I do, and the whole 9 yards. So we're going to move, for those who contact us, there's other people out there that will, provide this information. They'll provide information similar to ours to get the state national passport. But what we do here is we actually instruct you. We hold your hand through the entire process. And we don't want you to go to the Department of State alone. So we have ways of being available to you, even if it's by phone or what have you. We make sure you are being nurtured through the entire process, because it can be pretty scary. A lot of people have said, well, oh my goodness, I was so nervous when I went into the Department of State, but because you were there, I felt completely comfortable. And if they had questions or what have you, I was right there and available. And of course, our team will be available to you as well, because we're getting a lot of requests for this. So you are now moved from the enemy status to a friend. You're no longer surety, but you're actually an ambassador. In this case, for those who want to be ambassadors for Christ, you're already an ambassador for Christ with the Lord if you're accepted him and you've been baptized of water and the Holy Spirit. Just like the Lord said, if you're baptized of water and the Holy Spirit, that is your baptismal passport. But in this case, wouldn't it be really cool if you could have a passport that shows that you have a citizenship in heaven? And in this nation, we have capacity to do that, and I'll be getting into that. So you'll be ambassador for Christ. Now, for those who don't know the Lord yet, that's perfectly fine. We could still assist those who wish to satisfy becoming state nationals. We can do that for you also. It would be our pleasure. However, mainly our focus is helping those who want to move into their ambassadorial status. And it is a real, a diplomatic status on the passport. There's actually codes that the Department of State goes by within their own manuals that allows one to be recognized as such due to the unique nature of how the United States of America was formed. Thank God. So then you'll be moving away from being a U.S. citizen. You're no longer deemed as surety for that all caps name of war. You're now state national, which means you're a creditor. Your relationship has changed. So now you will have rights that are recognized under the Constitution. Now, of course, these rights are given to you by God. We also add in the Bible as constitutions to the nation of heaven, just like Hebrews talks about. And you're moving out of the Emergency Banking Relief Act under military law into these biblical and constitutional realms where your status is marked. For those who feel that they want to work with us, there are conditions that do apply. If one has an outstanding controversy with the IRS, we're going to have to ask you to get that cleaned up first before you approach us, because you could go through all this effort and sometimes it will fly. We've seen that happen in the past, but other times and oftentimes it's not going to work. You have to actually resolve the issues with the IRS first before getting this passport done. And there's a lot of wonderful programs out there. So please do your due diligence in researching those who have remedies that are repeatable, that are consistent, and that will treat you very well in that process to resolving those issues. But it would be a pleasure to work with you, so you can reach out to us. There's information in the description box below, and it would be our pleasure and our honor assisting you in this noble quest to changing your status over into the ambassadorial status. God bless you, and we are on standby.